Hey everybody, and welcome to Static Echoes. Tonight we're going to have one of those special nights where we have a guest come in and join me, and the guest for tonight is one of my teammates, Jay. Jay, how are you, mate?
Good, bro. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Jay's been with the team and with me personally, well, not personally, but he's been alongside me right since the start of the WAPR days, and he's an awesome investigator and he has a few tales to tell. So, Jay, to start off with, what got you into the paranormal?
I've always been curious about it. I saw my grandmother at the foot of my bed when I was about 5, and she actually passed away the day I was born in the house I grew up in. So, yeah, that sort of sparked my interest in it. And I've always been a little bit dark anyway, so...
And you're one of the strange people in that your entire family is right into it as well. So if you actually look at the names on the WAPR group, you will see there are a lot of your family members as part of the team.
Yeah, my wife, my son, 2 of my daughters.
What got you into actually investigating the paranormal?
That was pretty much purely by chance. One night I was out on my own with a camera at a local cemetery, just taking happy snaps to see if I could catch anything. And lo and behold, the man sitting next to me was there with his team. And we both questioned each other on what we were doing there in a very abrupt manner. And then we've just been teammates ever since, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember that night. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, I think that was the Rockingham Pioneer Cemetery,
yep.
Yeah, which is a quiet little cemetery on Mandurah Road. And it's quite a personal one for the WAPR team, because that is where myself and a couple of blokes investigated right at the start before we even formed WAPR. And it was what we found that night that actually made me decide to start the team up. And it is a good location. It's a small one. It's a quiet one, but there's always lots of activity. And yeah, bumped into Jay there one night and he wanted to know what we were going up to and what these little devices were that we had. And yeah, he's been with us ever since. And I've got to say, he's one of the loyalest team members I've ever had.
Oh, shucks.
So over the years, what would be one of your memorable locations that we've investigated?
Freo Prison.
We've done that a couple of times, actually.
Yeah, I've only done it once with you.
So what did you find there?
I'm pretty sure in one of my photographs I've got it's on my old camera actually. It looks like an apparition of a woman in period dress with a wide brim hat standing at the end of the chapel in front of the curtain. And as to my knowledge, there was only one female that was ever executed at Freo Prison, Martha Rendell.
Yep.
So I pretty much just figured it was her.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. Now, we've been there a couple of times. You were there on the first one or the second one?
I'm not sure which one it was. I know it was the one where we had the security guard that didn't want to be there.
That was the first one. Yeah.
And we slammed the door behind him and scared the crap out of him.
Yes. Yeah. Don't do that to a security guard. If you're ever down there at Fremantle Prison, they won't take kindly to that. But yeah, literally one of our... the security guard that we had on that particular occasion, he witnessed some things. Obviously, when we slammed the door, that obviously got him on edge. And I do have a giggle at that personally when I think back at it. But in the middle of the night, what happened was, this was probably 2:00 in the morning. We were having a little bit of a break. Now, this was a summer's evening. It was in February. Can't remember which year it was now.
Yeah, I only had footy shorts and a tank top on. It was stinking hot.
And we were sat outside of Division 4, which is the lifers wing, where obviously all the serious criminals went. And we were looking back across the guard tower, and over the visitor centre, there's a watchtower there. And we were watching this shadow of somebody just walking forwards and backwards within the tower. And that was really interesting. And then when the security guard came out, we asked him, was he here alone or did he have anybody with him? And when he said he was here alone, we said, well, who's that up there in the tower? And he looked up and he freaked out and typical paranormal investigators that we were, I said, has anybody got a camera? And that was it. No, but everybody was too busy watching what was going on to actually take photos or video. So when they went back to get the camera, we came out and lo and behold, it was gone.
Yes.
So, okay, besides Fremantle Prison, what other notable locations would you think here in WA?
The old York Courthouse. That place was really good. We had a lot of activity there. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was another good one. We have done a lot of places that are law related.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more along the lines of down in Albany.
Yeah, the quarantine station in Albany. That was brilliant.
Now, I'm going to let you do some of the talking for this part, but the last time we were down there, which was just over a year ago.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were actually supposed to be there last weekend, but it didn't happen. But describe that first night when we were setting up for the barbecue, how it all kicked off.
Yeah, that was quite weird because we had the lids from the barbecues leaning up against the wall. There was a slight breeze, but it was very minimal. And all of a sudden, the lid for the barbecue flew across the patio and smacked into the wall and scared the living crap out of me.
Yeah, that was the two. I think that was the two of us when that first one happened, because also we had, well, you had one of those lantern type torches sat on the top ledge over the barbecue. So
that flew off.
So we would see what we're doing. And that thing flew off and it actually landed on the stinking hot barbecue. So we had to get rid of that. Now, we ended up eating, and then I can't remember what else was going on. I was recording a TikTok or something like that because this was one of the first investigations where we were going to try using TikTok and doing a lot of live crosses and things like that. But while I was doing that, something happened, and I think you noticed that the lid had been thrown across the floor again, didn't you? So we went out to investigate that, and yes, it was right across the opposite side of the veranda from where it was supposed to be. So we lifted it up again, put it against the wall on a very acute angle, so there was no way.
And a piece of timber up against it.
Yes,
as well.
And a piece of timber up against it. There was no way it was going to go anywhere. And we were recording this. Now, there is an Albany video, which I may put up on the channel, so keep your eye open for that. But as we were walking, we were recording on the camera, telling everybody what had just happened, and we'd walked around the bend, and then lo and behold, it happened again. This thing got thrown clean across the veranda, and I think you heard a few choice words come out of us too.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And that was how that's how the whole weekend started off. So from there, what did you want to really do down at the quarantine station?
Well, from the time that we stayed there before, we had a lot of activity in the morgue there that was really actually frightening on the old autopsy slab.
Yep.
One of our members sort of wasn't himself, so to speak.
No, you could say he channeled something,
and
or
took
something.
Four of us grown men to get him out, and he was a lot smaller than me.
Yep. I remember that.
That was wild.
We do have part of that on a different video as well, but that's on a completely different channel. And I may put a bit of a compilation up from the Albany visit and put it up there for everybody to see, because this channel, while it is primarily an audio podcast channel, I will be putting live videos up of a lot of our investigations as well, so you will get to see some of what we do out in the field. And I've already put one up where we were recently out at Jarrahdale. It was originally supposed to be a part paranormal investigation at the cemetery, but we were also doing some Yowie research, because there are some renowned Yowie investigators, Yowie hunters, I don't know what you want to call them, but they're over here at the moment, and they are actively investigating in the area, although they were about 6 or 7 kilometres away from where we were that evening. So we thought we'd get out and give it a crack, and we actually picked up a couple of vocalizations on the video.
Yeah, that was awesome.
When you watch the video, you can hear us go, did you hear that? But on the night, you don't really pick up what it was. It's only when you play the audio back, when you play the video back, you can actually hear what it was. And it set the dogs off in the area as well, because there's a few houses up and around the cemetery, and obviously they've got dogs. Now, what's interesting to me is that when we were doing our vocalizations to try and get the activity going, they didn't respond to us.
No.
But whatever that was that responded, and I think twice we've got it on video, those dogs started going off. So that really, really got their thing up. So how did you find the Yowie investigation?
It was different. I've never done one before, so it was actually cool to do something different. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, one of the things about here in Western Australia, we are very limited with locations. For any of you guys that are in the UK or in the USA, you guys have got absolutely...
A mecca.
Yeah, absolutely unlimited places where you can visit and check out. But
yeah, as a country, this one's very young.
It's
so
slim pickings here, yeah. How did you actually find it when we were heading out into the bush and we had no idea what was around us? Because if you look at the video, which is up on this channel, you actually see one point on the thermal imaging camera where there was something peering from behind a tree, and it was very black, and the thermal imaging was set to black hot, which means anything
it was black comes up hot.
Yeah, correct. And so whatever it was definitely...
It had a thermal signature.
It did have a thermal signature on it. So looking back over the video and remembering, because obviously it's pitch black where we are. I mean, we did use some torches and we used some night vision and things like that, but knowing something was watching us from fairly close.
But if you turned all the lights off, there was zero black. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Correct. But where I'm going is, how do you feel now that something was watching us from that close while we were there in the dark?
That's fine, because I was looking for him.
And they're the kind of guys I like on the team, not the guys that scream and run in the other direction.
Yeah, no, I'm an ex-soldier. It takes a fair bit to scare me.
Now, moving on from Yowie research, we've also done a lot in the UFO, UAP field as well. So we've done some Skywatch nights. We've done some CE5 type stuff. How do you find all of that?
I love it, because I know we're not alone. I just want to prove it.
Now, you've been out on a few of the Skywatches just recently, earlier this year,
yep,
down at a location in the Safety Bay area. What do you think about those? Because there was a certain area of the sky where we were getting a lot of activity.
Are you referring to the three lights in a triangle formation?
I'm not, but I was going to get to that. But yeah, go on, start with that, and then we'll go to the other one later on.
That was intriguing, because it went from east to west direction, and it was three different separate lights. They weren't as one unit, but they were in like a triangular formation. One was blinking blue-green, another one was blinking pink-red, and another one was bright white.
Yep. And that's not something you get from a plane, helicopter, or a drone generally.
No, not generally, no.
No. And the way they were acting as well, they certainly didn't act like anything.
And when they did go, they went in different directions. So,
what's interesting is actually the other night, we had drones over here somewhere, and I don't know what was going on. And I actually reached out to Ben Hansen, and I said to him about, is the drone stuff still going on in America at the moment? And he responded with no. He goes, it's died off at the moment. He said, but it will be back. And he said there's a lot going on in the UFO, UAP field over there at the moment. And he said he's going to come on the show, but with his current work schedule, it might be a while. So you can expect Ben Hansen on the show in the future. I'm not going to say near future, but he will be on in the future. And it's just interesting that there's a lot of stuff going on. So he couldn't go into it any further than that. He left me hanging, and I was like, oh, you can't do that. But I was referring to a little comment, which I am thinking about getting T-shirts made up with Low Horizon.
High horizon, low horizon, yeah.
Yeah. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what that's all about, is we've noticed there's one specific spot in the sky where a lot of very strange activity happens, where these lights will pop up out of nowhere and they will disappear just as quickly, and they will move erratically all within that same little bit of sky.
Mm.
And every time.
Out towards the west.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if there is some kind of a...
sort of southwest.
Yeah, some kind of a portal type situation out there, because there's a lot of activity focused on that part of the sky. Now, we've looked into everything, and one of the big things that was coming up was, what's it called? Starlink flaring was one that came up, which we've discounted. Drones, which we have discounted. Aircraft, discounted. Helicopters and things like that, all discounted. Satellites generally don't pop up in one spot and then disappear
They travel
in the same
direction.
part of the sky. They usually travel from one side of the sky to the other side of the sky
and
in a straight line.
And at a steady speed. These were going all over the place.
Jumping back to the West Australian paranormal researchers, how do you find it having a lot of your family members on the team?
I love it that it sort of gives me personal backing that I'm not crazy. I mean, I am, but having my family involved with it, it gives me more validation in myself. But knowing that my children and my wife are interested in the same things that I'm interested in, that's a big plus.
I agree 100%. My son is interested in it all as well, but he started his own family now, so his priorities are elsewhere, although I'm sure he will come back to it when the timing is right. But I do think it's important that we do start training up the next generation of investigators, because if you look at it from, I mean, I've been doing it now for close to 40 years, and investigation techniques change, just everything about it changes.
Equipment changes.
I think one of the things that any paranormal investigator who's coming in it right at the start, they're always impressed with orbs. It doesn't take long for us to wipe them out, and I think it's about teaching people the right way for it all to move forward so that the investigation field moves forward. I know there's a lot of people out there who are very wary about passing on what they've learnt to other people because they want to keep it to themselves. But the problem is when they jump out the field, that's lost.
But if you keep it to yourself, how can you make other people believe?
Yeah.
People need to hear it. People need to know.
Yeah. And this is the thing. Different teams have different motivations now. Some people are in it to make people believe. Some people are in it just for the scare factor of it. And there are other people's in it just for the research of everything. And I do believe that rather than making people true believers, I think the best we can do is actually open people's minds up to the fact that there is something out there to be investigated further.
There's a picture way bigger than ourselves out there.
Oh, yeah. We've discussed Fremantle Prison. We've discussed Albany. We've discussed UFOs and Yowie investigations. We do it all, man. We do it all, don't we?
Yeah, boy.
We love it. One thing that we do run. Yeah, I'm not going to do that again. The one thing that we do is residential cases, which a lot of people stay clear of, and rightly so. If you're not in it for the right reasons and you don't have the right mindset or the right experience to go into a person's house and not scare the crap out of them and not make things worse, it is a very important thing to do to help families in need. Now, that we do a lot of that, and I know you've been on a few residential cases with us as well. How do you find it helping people out?
Oh, that's rewarding. It validates for the client that they're not crazy. They're not losing their mind when other people see and hear the things that they've been experiencing in their home, and hopefully help whoever or whatever it is that is residing in that place to move on and leave the families alone, leave them in peace, because it is no longer their space, even though they used to occupy that space, but it's no longer their space. They've moved on to another world, another realm. So the people that do live there in the present need to be left alone.
Yep, 100% agree with you there. Now,
and it's that you get these people that do things for a monetary gain. I can't stand that. I think that is absolutely horse hockey.
Yep, there was, yes. I did bring that up the other day when I was talking to some friends, that when you start a team up, one thing you do not do is put a price list up there.
No.
Now, I can tell you there is a team here in Perth.
Yes, I know. I'm aware of it.
Yeah, that put a price list up before they put contact details up. And that tells you right from day dot that they are in it for the wrong reasons, and you should stay clear of a team like that.
Or they could possibly be full of it.
Well, the fact that they've put a price list up tells me that they're not going to be able to help you out. They're in it to come out, cash in, and
Get out.
not really going to help the family out. They're going to leave it probably in a worse off situation. And that's one thing. If you are not experienced and you go into these places, you can
Aggravate it.
You can, really aggravate whatever the entity is there, and you can leave that family in a worse off situation than they were before they actually called out for help. So that's one thing you do have to be mindful of. Anybody who looks us up on Facebook at the West Australian Paranormal Researchers will never see anything on the page to do with the facts from a residential case. We may gloss across a few things, but we will never name anything
Never
specific.
disclose anything personal.
Never disclose any kind of confidential information or anything like that. And you will never see any footage unless we've got written consent from them that they want to do that. But generally, I won't do that from a residential case anyway, because it is so private.
No, it's just morally wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, we do a little bit of everything at WAPR. I know it's starting to sound a little bit like a WAPR advertisement this episode, isn't it? But it's the only reference that I can really talk from, because I've been doing it, as I said, for a long, long time, and you were interested in it for a long, long time before that as well. And then you've been investigating with me for,
15 years
close to
now.
20 years now, yeah. And we've seen some stuff, most definitely. And one of the big things that Jay's been with me right from the start, and he can attest to this, when you start a team up and you get the right people in, some things can change that team dynamic, and it changes very considerably, doesn't it?
Indeed.
You will lose people across time and you will gain new ones. Not everyone will be as they seem. Some will...
Hard to find the perfect fit.
Yep, some will not be the right fit for the team, that's for sure. And we've gone through a couple of monumental shifts in team dynamic over the years, but I think we've got a pretty good team now. We're actually smaller than we have been for quite some time, but it's a good group. So how do you think about team dynamics?
I think it's better to be a small group. When you do go on an investigation and you break up into little areas, all you need is one or two people. You don't need like 5 or 6, because that's when you get background noise of people whispering and talking to each other, and it's just chaos.
Yeah. Now I'm going. The reason why I'm talking a lot about starting a group up and all this kind of thing is there's a gentleman that we know at the moment who he came out on the Yowie investigation, although he did focus more on the paranormal side. And he's been wanting to start his own team up. He did have a couple of people on board, but he's already learning very early in the piece that some people can't be relied on.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously different people have different priorities in life, but it is always important to find the right people. Now, he and one of his friends, who I think after what they found at this last investigation is going to become a hardcore investigator. He was a bit of a skeptic apparently, but he was interested in that urban exploration kind of thing.
Yep.
And they found a location which I'm not going to name. I know where they've been going, but he's put a little bit of footage up on his YouTube channel, and that is Scarecrow Paranormal. So that's S.C.A.R.E.crew. Sorry, Scarecrow Paranormal, not Scarecrow. You will see a scarecrow in the image, but if you look up Scarecrow Paranormal, as I just spelt it, you will find some EVP footage and a few other bits and pieces. Now, that particular piece of footage, we're actually in this room just last week, and he thought he had something, but it wasn't what I picked up, and what he had wasn't anything. But I said, what about this? And when we were able to amplify and boost the audio, we actually picked up a PA type system and somebody talking on it. It was only 2 men in the entire building at this point in time. It was in the early hours of the morning, and it is an old abandoned asylum. And the interesting thing is, since playing that and he's put it up on his channel. He's getting a lot of hits on it. I actually went back last night while we were out. Remember my phone rang while we were out?
Yep.
It was him saying, I've got something else now.
Oh, sick.
And he was able to identify that there was a PA system in this hospital, even though it's all completely disconnected.
Generally, hospitals will have a PA system.
Yeah. This hospital shut down in the 80s, so it was in that era where you would have had...
it wouldn't even have electricity connected.
No, there's nothing there now, just
a shell.
No, yeah. And the interesting thing is they set a few experiments in there that they were going to go back and check out later on.
We got to go.
I'm not going to say any more, but the last message I got from him today is, you've got to come. He said, yeah. He's every aspect of paranormal investigation that we're looking for, he's already experienced in this place in 2 visits.
I find old mental asylums and hospitals abandoned, of course, but I find them my favourite thing to investigate.
Yeah. Well, this one's actually in pretty good nick as well. It's not like one of those ones.
It's not fully dilapidated.
No, it's not all torn down and things like that. It's actually in pretty good nick. Now, I am planning on joining them on one. I can't say any more than that, but it will be interesting to see what footage we come back with. So I've got some new gear arriving this week, and I will be taking that with me. And if it does kick off, now one of the things he did say to me, he goes, you don't want more than probably 3 or 4 people max in this place, because of exactly what you were saying about contamination of evidence and things like that. And so stay tuned for that one, because we will be going there at some point.
Hell yes.
And see what we get up. And I will be taking a voice recorder with me, a good quality one, and seeing if we can't get even better EVPs through this one. And
sounds like a plan.
Taking the thermal imager with me. I'm going to go light because it's a bit of a hike to get to this place.
Okay.
And see what we pick up. So, what's one of the things across the last 20 years that you've really, really connected with in the paranormal that makes you feel good about life?
Pretty much just relying on not so much equipment, but my own body. I've learned to feel things a lot more, vibration-wise, sound-wise, just gut feelings. I trust my body more than I trust equipment most of the time.
Yep, agreed. Now, if anybody's been on a WAPR public hunt, which we do hold them several times a year, and we do a lot of other stuff which is just core related, so it's just the team itself. One of the first things I say to people is to trust your body, because while we have all of the information, all the instruments and everything to gather what we need, as in we'll use EMF detectors to pick up fluctuations in the EM field, you will get the hairs on your arm will stand up and you'll get the goosebumps. That is your body reacting to static electricity or a change in the EM field. Obviously, you're going to feel cold spots. If a sudden cold spot hits, that temperature fluctuations, which is associated with an entity drawing heat from the atmosphere to try and manifest. So that's one of the big things that we kind of keep an eye on as well. But everything, trust your eyes to a point, trust your ears to a point.
Instincts more than anything.
But it's your instincts and all of those senses that generally you don't think about, because they're the more important ones when you're out on an investigation. Obviously, your eyes and your ears are very important. And
breathing's good.
Breathing is good, except when you're behind the camera and you go, and it sounds like Darth Vader is your cameraman. You don't want that. So control your breathing, and also when you're doing a lot of EVP work as well, if you've got a microphone pretty close, you need to obviously control your breathing, because you don't want to overpower something that's coming through in the background. Now, before we go, do you want to tell us a few places that are on your bucket list to investigate, paranormally speaking?
Ooh, bucket list jobbies.
Yeah.
There'd have to be Waverly Hill Sanatorium in America.
Yep.
That's a definite.
Yep.
London Tower.
Yes, that's a good one.
Greyfriars Cemetery in Scotland. The catacombs underneath Edinburgh.
Oh, the old, yep.
And there's a castle, I think. Not sure if it's Ireland or Scotland or England. The Hellfire Club used to reside there.
It's interesting you talk about that because Graham Phillips, who's coming on the show soon, he's already agreed to come on, but he's actually filming in the UK at the moment for some TV shows on this kind of stuff. And he said to give him a couple of weeks and he's going to contact me to arrange a time to start recording now. Obviously, anybody who's listening to this knows that we have a video podcast called The Shadow Files. I've already interviewed Graham Phillips, and some of the stuff that he talks about is absolutely ridiculous. And one of the things he did bring up was that Hellfire Club and some of the stuff at one of these big, what they call them, like manor houses and stuff.
Yeah.
And they've recently found an entire underground
city, pretty much.
part, where a lot of these
Cult?
ceremonies and things happen. Yeah, that's basically what it was. And
doing rituals and strange things.
Yeah.
But if we're going to talk Australian locations, probably Monte Cristo in Junee, New South Wales.
Yeah.
I'd like to do Old Melbourne Jail.
Yeah.
That's where my idol, Ned Kelly, was executed. I reckon that place would have some stories.
It does. It's just a matter of getting out there and doing it yourself.
Yeah, there's a couple of places like that I'd love to get around and have a look at.
I still want to do The Rock. I still want to do...
Hanging Rock.
No, not Hanging Rock. The Rock. Alcatraz.
Oh, Alcatraz. Oh, definitely.
I still want to do that
But
place.
yeah, that other one at Hanging Rock in Victoria, that place is intriguing to me.
Well, it's interesting because they say, obviously, it's a book. It's not based on reality, but...
Well, it was based on true story.
This is what I was just about to say, is it's based on a true story, but it didn't go off the way that it is in the book. But
one young lass has never been found, no body, no look of foul play.
And this is what I'm saying.
And one girl's been in a mental asylum and has never spoken of the experience.
And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the truth is stranger than the fiction.
Indeed.
So, I think we're just about done for today. Have you got anything else you would like to say before we close out?
Oh, WPR rocks.
WAPR rocks, yes. All right, we'll put the plugs in there now. If you haven't already subscribed to Static Echo's show, I would love you to give us a like and a subscribe and hit that bell notification, because then you'll be notified every time we have a new podcast go live. And we are available on... We're not available on the Apple Podcast as yet because I'm having problems with the setup there, but we are on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio and several others, as well as a YouTube channel. And you will find a link to it all on our Facebook page. So until next time.
And if you need our team, we're on Facebook.
Yes, I can't forget that. If you are interested in just following a very cool group, look up the West Australian Paranormal Researchers on Facebook and click that join button, because there is all sorts that's going on there. It's a pretty lively group and it's continually growing, and you just don't know what you might find or what kind of people. You know, if you're one of us, you will soon connect. But yeah, until then, look for us around the place and keep your eyes on the skies, people. Take it easy.
See you later.